So what we want to do is start teaching faculty and students and lawyers that, remember what one of those needs was. And by the way, the top two needs that most strongly correlated with a thriving person, one is autonomy, that you have a sense of yourself and that you're true to it. You are who you really show yourself to be. That's one. The second one is relatedness, that you must have a sense of being closely connected and relating to other people. What I did is I took all these frameworks and went through these descriptors and sort of extrapolated out what would the need satisfaction be of these different groups and what would their well-being be, and it's just what you would expect. The folks who are the open problem solvers would their relatedness need would be very highly satisfied because they're open, friendly, cooperative, honest, and trustworthy. They also have high integrity, which is the same thing, more or less, as autonomy. Your integrity is your autonomy. It's your sense of yourself. So their well-being is going to be very high. They're going to be feeling well, and they're going to be, as we saw from the numbers, very effective. So their bottom line is also very well cared for, and when they go home at night, they're going to feel good about their work. And the opposite exactly is the case for the hardcore adversarials. And by the way, the people who were moderate in either camp had moderate results, moderately positive or moderately negative. They were in the 20% effective range, roughly. So the message to students and to lawyers that I'm always giving is, you get to pick how good your life is going to be. You get to choose. But as educators, we have to take on, as part of our responsibility, give the people enough information so they know what choices to make. And that's what these little booklets are about. That's what these symposiums are about, and so forth. So, but we got to get rid of the curves. We have to get rid of low means in law school. To me, I'm still struggling for an understanding of why you would require someone to have a 3.5 average to get into your law school and then have a mandatory mean of 2.6 or 82 or whatever it is. What you're saying is every student on average, which average means every person, everyone has to have this grade to get in, and everyone is going to have this grade when you get out, starting from the first year and going right through. And then we wonder, well, could it be that people get depressed here and don't feel much self-confidence, and why? It just doesn't make any sense. So all this is covered, here. It's covered extensively in other articles that other folks have written. But once people start to understand the fundamentals of the psychosocial makeup of human beings and see that it applies very, very tightly in law schools, you start applying them. Wherever you apply it, it will work, and wherever you don't apply it, it won't work. And that's what we have right now. A situation that really isn't working nearly as well as it could with a little information. Yeah, Steve Kiva, what a man. I remember meeting him at that first Alliance of Holistic Lawyers conference way back. I'd heard his name, and then he was just such a nice guy, and we had some chats, and we kept in touch over the years, really up to very recently. He's been very supportive. I have to admit, I'm a long-time meditator in my own right, but not the mindfulness approach. So when I saw his book at first, I thought, this is great. Lawyers really need this, but this isn't really my cup of tea. I do a different style of meditation. Since then, I've actually started doing more mindfulness meditation. So I'm becoming a believer, if you will. But I thought, boy, what a gift to a lawyer to have the idea. Again, it's about education. And I think it was great that the ABA published his book, because it comes along with, if I can say, some cojones already. It's got the endorsement of the ABA, at least in some sense. What a great gift to lawyers that you're working along, you're feeling frustrated, the other lawyer just hung up on you, you were in with one of these adversarial negotiators, you know, your client is lying to you or wants you to do reprehensible things and screaming at, whatever it might be. You know, I was a litigator for 11 years. And then you have that idea, oh yeah, what did Kiva say? Oh, let me just take a breath and stop here and just notice how I'm doing. Just that moment of stopping and putting it down and noticing. Fabulous. And as I said, I've started doing a little bit of that in my personal restful practices as well, and it really does work quite well. The other thing, though, that really came up, met so many wonderful people at this conference. One was a woman from the University of San Francisco who teaches mindfulness in her classes to first-year law students. And she writes law review articles on mindfulness and all. It's wonderful. You know, teaching just a down-the-middle first-year class. Might be contracts, I forget. She'll forgive me. So we were emailing back and forth as I was doing the more recent research for this last paper for Washburn about how human nature needs to be recognized and integrated into law practice. You're a human. Let's get jiggy with this and let's do something about it, you know. I started thinking about mindfulness and I realized, you know, mindfulness and other meditations, but certainly mindfulness should improve your sense of autonomy, that number one critical need, your sense of self. Because you stop for a minute and you notice, I'm here. Instead of being lost in the swirl of everything that's going on. So I thought, it should improve your sense of autonomy. I wonder, and I went and looked, and it turns out it's been researched. It's in scientific journals, and it does. It works. And so I have a short section in here for law teachers who are really, you know, want to go out there to the edge and think about some of these things. Certainly a lot of lawyers are picking up meditation practices now. I know I did a CLE 12 years ago, over 100 lawyers, and we went through a guided meditation. Freaked a few of them out, but overall it really was very effective. People could see, wow, when I'm quiet and restful, life is better, and I can work better from that platform. So there's a little section in here that cites the research on mindfulness and how it really does a lot of good things in this positive psychology framework, increasing the sense of autonomy, particularly in negative environments, is the finding. That it really helps people who are in non-supportive psychological environments to not only cope, but to have a good sense of themselves and to do all this. So I think Steve Kiva was really onto something early to the point of getting it out to lawyers. I've heard about his book from countless lawyers who just volunteer, oh, have you seen that? Have you read that? So that was a great contribution.